All right, this is Archmage from Mythical Entertainment here with Matt at the Gardens Between. Matt, I've had an opportunity to play the game. Very imaginative world. I love the mechanic of just going back in time, having each of the characters control two different aspects of the game, interacting with different items. And in the last level I played, I actually, just that whole section where you're having the, what's the red vested character's name?
So the Arena is the girl and French is the boy.
All right, so Arena, she jumps onto a saw, just a hand saw, which cuts through a board that then eventually falls, and you have to kind of manipulate time to go back and forth to make it go through the board.
Yeah.
Before, is it her brother or friend?
They're best friends. So, yeah.
Before her friend can get across the board and join her. And just that kind of like thinking, it's not something you see in a lot of games, but it definitely evokes the same kind of feel that I had when I played Braid for the first time. Just this, especially the time mechanic going back and forth. That's certainly part of it, but the fact that there's certain permanent things you do, certain other things you do that really kind of stood out to me. So if you could, why don't you talk to me a little bit more about the Gardens Between for people who might not know about it yet?
Yeah, so the Gardens Between is like a surreal adventure puzzle. It follows the story of these two best friends, Arena and Frent. They've kind of run away from home, and then during a storm they're transported into this strange, surreal world. It's kind of like an Alice in Wonderland style story going on. So yeah, the interesting thing in the game, as mentioned, is you're actually not controlling the characters at all. You're controlling time, so you're moving time backwards and forwards to solve puzzles. Which opens up to some really interesting kind of puzzle mechanics. So the main agency that the characters have in the world, I guess, is just changing the state of things, and then you as the player move time backwards and forwards to, in each garden, take the light to the end and solve the puzzle.
So, the world itself feels like it's just kind of brought out of their imagination. It's like these are each level has kind of a particular theme or setup that it kind of evokes. Like one level, it's got plans of like building a treehouse.
Yeah.
Which, certainly two best friends, that's what you're going to do in like your summer off, is build a treehouse somewhere that's safe for you. So each of these individual worlds feels like something that's plucked right out of your character's heads. Was that kind of the idea you were going for?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess each of the gardens is kind of like built around elements and things from their childhood. There's like a pretty strong nostalgia element in the game, so like a lot of the people might be familiar, like anyone who grew up in the 80s and 90s will be like, we've got like little Famicoms in the game, old analog TVs, VCRs, whatever they are, crazy physical media.
I got stuck for a little bit on that level where you had to rewind the tape all the way. You had to stop time in a particular place where Fran was actually holding down the rewind button, and I had to wait, and I was impatient, so I had to keep going back until I figured that out. So that was, the puzzle mechanics are definitely, it definitely makes you think.
Yeah, so using time in interesting ways, I think. So like holding it still, running backwards and forwards over the same spot in time to, for example, cut through a piece of wood, as mentioned earlier. It makes for some like really interesting puzzle ideas.
So this is a very imaginative game. I can only imagine that there are things that came up during production of it that maybe weren't intended from the beginning. What was maybe one mechanic or one aspect of the game that surprisingly is now in the final product?
To be honest, I think the whole final product's a bit of a surprise. The way we build games is like a lot of iteration and prototyping. So the very original prototype was based on like that one moment in Minority Report where he's like moving backwards and forwards through a memory. And then from that idea, we kind of like trialed so we trialed like a bunch of different prototypes of just like exploring that mechanic of like going down the memories route or going down like the scrubbing time backwards and forwards. We made some like kind of like hidden object games using the time mechanic and some like camera trickery. And then kind of like the more prototypes we made, we found ourselves going down a route of like making rich narrative adventure. Our artist was like constructing all these beautiful worlds, and then we just kind of ended up here.
So in the timeline of Gardens Between, which came first, the mechanics or the story that you wanted to tell?
The mechanics, I guess, mostly, yeah.
So then, with the mechanics, what was the original concept for the game? Because this has a very nostalgic, childlike tone to it. Was it more serious at the beginning, or did you always envision it as something that was more of a just available to everyone?
From the beginning is always to build games that are accessible for anyone. So we believe that basically everyone in the world plays games, and we want to make games that, you know, my grandmother could play. So yeah, that's been like a core part of our game design philosophy from the start. I guess we didn't really have like a specific story in mind. We just found that like the time mechanic really lent itself well to, like, it was like the interesting thing about moving time is kind of like following stories and choosing to be interested in a story. So then we started working with a writer, Brooke, who's like fabulous. We don't have any like narrative writing skills, so she brought like a really, you know, rich writing background to the team. And between her and our artist, but like the two of them basically, it's kind of like, yeah, between the two of them, they kind of like define the story that we want to tell. So it's a story about friendship, about these two neighbors, best friends. At the start of the game, you kind of find out that they've just run away from home, and then during a storm, they're transported into this strange world. Yeah, and we play the game to find out kind of their story and what happened to them.
Kind of in the background of my mind while I was playing the game is the music choice. It's very mellow, and it kind of keeps you calm while you're playing the game, and I really like that. Who are you working with for your composer for this game?
So the musician and audio designer is Tim Scheel. He's made like a few really cool things in the past. He worked on the soundtrack for Duet, which is like a really interesting mobile like music rhythm game, and also did the soundtrack for the game loading indie music, like it's not a music video, just an indie video. He did the music for that. But yeah, one of our goals was to kind of make like a relaxing, kind of like a game that you can play in your own time and like solve the puzzles without like too much stress. So all the puzzle design is done so you can, like, it doesn't require any dexterity, or there's no time pressure in the puzzle design. So we really wanted music that would support that as well. So it's like, it's quite relaxing. It's like almost a bit ambient. Yeah, we actually released a little while ago like a 40-minute, we're calling it a slow trailer. It's like a mix between a Netflix Fireplace and a music video. So it's kind of like an album length set of our visuals. So you can find like a YouTube playlist if you search for The Gardens Between.
Excellent. Definitely do that. So the controls are surprisingly simple. I was playing on an Xbox controller, but it certainly seems like it could be portable to any systems. Which platforms is this going to be coming out for?
So right now we're focusing on PC and Mac, so Steam release early next year.
Okay.
And yeah, from there, we'll see.
Excellent. And again, next year, what time frame are you looking for release?
So early 2018.
Early 2018.
March-ish, give or take, but kind of game design, it'll be done when we think the quality is good enough, basically.
Absolutely. All right, Matt, well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Gardens Between looks fantastic. I can't wait for it to come out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for playing.
Thank you.
Cheers.